Did humans live with dinosaurs? Continued. So how old are the fossils? Aren't all of the fossils proven to be very old? Well, let's look at how the ages of the fossils are measured. Fossil age is simply determined by the age of the layer of the sedimentary rock that it is found in. So how is the age of the sedimentary rock or the strata determined? Well, by the age of the fossils that are found in the rock. But aren't the ages of the fossils determined by the age of the rocks? Well, that's correct. And so it keeps on going around and around in a circle. This is known as circular reasoning. There is simply no accurate way to measure any fossil, unless of course it has carbon-14 in it, and then it is much younger than the millions of years old that we were told. Well, this means that no one could tell how old any fossil is. Now, igneous rocks, that is, the rocks that are formed by heat, have been measured to be hundreds of thousands up to billions of years old, but then are later discovered to be just a few hundred years old or up to a couple or 3,000-4,000 years old. The methods used to measure these rocks have been shown to be horrendously inaccurate by literally millions of percent. Well, let's look at another subject here. Was there a flood? Now, if we look at the geological column, it would appear that a huge flood would explain the mix-up of the layers and the mixing of the fossils throughout the different layers much better than the slow process of evolution. A flood would leave a general order of heavier and less mobile creatures being on the lower layers, along, of course, with the sea creatures. And then the lighter and more mobile creatures would be higher up. There are enormous amounts of evidence to support the idea that there actually was a worldwide flood in the past. The best piece of evidence to support this idea is the vast amount of marine fossils that are in every continent in the world and in the very highest mountain ranges in the world. Millions of these marine fossils have been found literally miles up in these mountains. The idea of a worldwide flood was well accepted until just a few decades ago. It appears that the evidence is causing a huge resurgence of this idea. But because of the nature of a gigantic flood, mixture would be somewhat common. And that is indeed the case. This mixture, that is, fossils being in the wrong order, is very common. In fact, some of the layers are completely reversed. It now appears that the belief in a worldwide flood is backed up by science, much better than what we have been told, and that the Earth is much younger than we have been told as well. Now, if this is the case, then it would make sense that the dinosaurs and humans have lived together up until just recently. Or maybe they still do in some cases. So, rather than humans living with dinosaurs in ages past, is it possible that dinosaurs have lived with us in very recent history? Well, let's take a look. If we take a look at history, we will discover numerous accounts of man dealing with dragons. Well, today these creatures are called dinosaurs. Both simply refer to large or huge reptiles. Now, if we go back into historical accounts, such as the book of Job in the Old Testament, there is a perfect description of a brontosaurus-like creature. Accounts of knights killing dragons and very large beasts are not uncommon in the Middle Ages. There are even some pictures of these encounters drawn by various artists of the past. These artists' rendition of these beasts look like dinosaurs that have been discovered recently. So the question arises, why have the dinosaurs disappeared if they have lived with humans up until the last few hundred years? Well, the answer is twofold. Number one, as previously mentioned, humans have killed many of them off. But number two, lungs of these creatures are generally very small. And it has been shown by science that the atmospheric pressure in the past was considerably higher than it is today. Also, the concentration of oxygen was greater as well. So, as this changed to the atmosphere that we have today, dinosaurs in general would have a much more difficult time getting the amount of air needed to live. And the estimates of that are about one-third of the oxygen intake as there was in the past. So, does this mean that there are no dinosaurs left alive on Earth today? Well, not necessarily. This will be continued on the next video.